You have all of these copywriters that put in their social media profile, 8-figure copywriter, 9-figure copywriter, 100 million sold, etc., etc. When they didn't create the product, they didn't do the R&D, they don't have the brand behind the product, they didn't buy the media, they didn't do the client fulfillment, they didn't do all of the things that are necessary for the product and the business and the brand doing as well as it did. But then suddenly they get to claim, oh, I made this company 9 figures. It's
I've worked with a couple of copywriters that they have good skill, but they're invisible. Nobody knows they even do copy. And then they're like, well, where are the clients? Versus, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself one of the best copywriters. I consider myself a decent writer because I've been in the industry for like 7-8 years. But I would say there's a lot of copywriters I'm interviewing that are way stronger than me and way sharper than me right now too, because they've got more client work than I've been actively doing over the last 6 to 12 months. But I'm pretty well known. Quite a lot of people will say that they know me, and that makes it a lot easier. And I got offered a gig the other day, pretty nice gig, just because I'm known as somebody that's an active participant in the industry.
If you have experience in the high ticket space and you switch to e-com, like direct to consumer, or you switch to SaaS, you're like a top 1% copywriter there. Like, what do you mean? How do I be motivated to send cold emails? Can you make a video talking about motivation to send cold emails? And his joke is like, why do you need motivation to not be poor? Like, if you need motivation to not be poor, you're not gonna make it.
All right, so today we're here with Nabeel Azeez. Nice to have you here. Thanks so much for joining me. And we've actually been, working in like similar circles on Facebook, at least. I've seen you a lot. I've seen your posts. I've seen, you've been getting results for copywriters and for clients, and people have talked a lot about you and that you have also a paid community. So yeah, it's really, really cool. We actually get to chat now and see, I've got a lot of questions for you. You've seen, you've done a lot of stuff, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, finally, I have made it. I am being interviewed by Matthew Falquin. I will start calling myself an A-list copywriter now.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. It's really a pleasure. I know we've been sort of circling each other in orbit, as you said. But yeah, it's nice to finally meet.
Yeah. So how did you become the best copywriter in the world?
That is, I think I told you, let's not ask about my background because I've answered it a million times, but I will answer it. So I started copywriting by accident. A friend of mine, he was or is really into self-improvement, and he introduced me to Ramit Sethi. And Ramit Sethi is himself a very competent and accomplished copywriter. I mean, now he doesn't write any of his own copy, but once I was introduced to Ramit, then I got introduced to this idea of copywriting, and through him I got introduced to these other copywriters, Derek Halpern, what's his name, Neville Medora, and then went down the rabbit hole. And at the time, I was sort of volunteering at this community center, and I've always been sort of good with the written word. And I realized, and I would write their sort of marketing collaterals whenever they were hosting events. And then I realized, oh shit, this is what I'm doing is copywriting, and I can actually make money doing this. So I started studying it, and then eventually I got my first paid gig by accident, and I was sort of doing it part-time for several years and not really taking it seriously. My past career was I used to work in a shipping and logistics company in procurement. And then that company went through a merger and I got made redundant. And so now I decided, let me go into this thing full time. And then that's what I've been doing since 2017, I believe.
Interesting story. Yeah, there's quite a few people that come from, like a very, like a job background, and it's different when they come from a job background than when they just kind of discover copywriting off the bat, because there's a little bit more, I don't know, there's either a work ethic or there's a lot of things that you can compare it to. You worked previously a lot, and then now you don't have to work as much, versus the kids that start and they never had to work. They don't have that same reference point. So that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And we were just talking before we got on this call, and you mentioned to me that, you're like a blue collar copywriter. And I'm interested about this because I've seen your brand, I've seen your posts, and I've always had the impression that you're one of the best writers, just from your posts, even without like doing much digging. I've always had that impression. But when you said that to me, that was interesting because it means it's clearly, you're clearly good, but at the same time, you've also actively put yourself out there. And that's something I think a lot of copywriters should do, because not all of them have like a 9-figure client under their belt that they can brag about. But if they're more present on social and they do more things like that, then they actually can, elevate their positioning without having to rely on, figures and results and numbers and stuff.
I think my best result with a client, this client I worked with for 3 years, I started with them when they were at 30K a month. And then the first month we worked together, they doubled to 60K. And then I worked with them for 3 years from 30K until they were doing 300K a month. So I think I might have made them, maybe, $5 million with you, but I can't claim that, right? Because in copywriter, you're such a small part of the puzzle. Like even if you go with Brian Kurtz's formula, which is, 40% audience, 40% offer, and 20% copy, right? You're only 20% of the equation. Now you go into something like a coaching offer, a high ticket offer, where there's client fulfillment, where there's sales reps, where there's media buyers, and all these kinds of things. Like I would say my contribution is maybe like 5%. So 5% of 5 million is how much? Like, and then you have all of these copywriters that put in their social media profile, 8-figure copywriter, 9-figure copywriter, 100 million sold, et cetera, et cetera. When they didn't create the product, they didn't do the R&D, they don't have the brand behind the product, they didn't buy the media, they didn't do the client fulfillment, they didn't do all of the things that are necessary for the product and the business and the brand doing as well as it did. But then suddenly they get to claim, I made this company 9 figures. It's bullshit. So that's why I say like I'm a blue collar copywriter, because I don't have like a 9-figure or an 8-figure VSL launch that I've been a part of that I can claim. I probably will at some point, but my kind of results are sort of like everyday balls and strikes, putting runs on the board every single day, bringing leads in, helping convert clients, sales enablement, marketing collaterals that build brand over the long term. So it's those kinds of things that are long term. Yes, some of them are tangible and measurable, but a lot of it is intangible and brand building over the long term.
So without those results that you can just use as a crutch, like many copywriters, what do you do to demonstrate to clients that you're the best choice and that you're the one for the job? Because I know that you've got a lot of client work and you've done a lot of cool stuff in the industry. So without those numbers, you're still generating really cool deals and working with really cool people.
Yeah, well, I have a body of work. I started my email list back in 2018 or 2017, right? So I've been writing a daily-ish, I say daily-ish because I miss days, daily-ish email since that. So what is that?
Yeah.
6 years almost, or 6.5 years. So I have that body of work. I'm always showing up online. And so I've built a reputation over many, many years. And also I have many case studies of wins that I've been able to get for clients I had them, I interview my clients whenever we get a win, and I've got like a nice long playlist of YouTube videos of me interviewing clients that I can show anybody who says, how do I know, what you're going to do for me is going to work.
So it's like being known versus being the best. It's like better to be well known than to be the copywriter that has like all these crazy results that no one knows exists. I mean, I've worked with a couple of copywriters that they have good skill, but they're invisible. Nobody knows they even do copy, and then they're like, well, where are the clients? Versus, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself one of the best copywriters. I'd consider myself a decent writer because I've been in the industry for like 7-8 years. But I would say there's a lot of copywriters I'm interviewing that are way stronger than me and way sharper than me right now too, because they've got more client work than I've been actively doing over the last, 6 to 12 months. But I'm pretty well known. Quite a lot of people will say that they know me, and that makes it a lot easier. And I got offered a gig the other day, pretty nice gig, just because I'm known as somebody that's an active participant in the industry. So if you're a copywriter and you're getting like not started, but let's say you're already making a little bit of money and you're thinking, well, maybe I should start an email list, or I should start posting on Facebook, or I should start actively going out there. What would you say is like some of the first things that they should consider when they start doing that?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I would actually rather be the copywriter who is like a ninja and who's unknown. I'm so done with personal branding and having a personal brand. If I could be invisible and make money that way, I would do it. It's one of the reasons why I started these offers of mine. Like, I want to like build those up as legit businesses and just take me out of the equation completely. So what I would suggest to copywriters just starting out. So there's what I did, which actually takes really long. It took me about 2.5 to 3 years to actually finally get like a serious client that I could, build up some credibility off of by getting them results. For a long time, I was just like floundering. There's that way, which is long, but it pays off in the long run. And there's the other way, which is the type of copywriter that you described, where they're unknown. All they're doing is they're keeping their head down. They're doing the work. They're probably in-house at an agency somewhere or in-house at a brand, and they're doing amazing work and getting amazing results and getting a ton of experience and learning a lot. I think that is probably the best way, is to, I guess, get a job. But the problem with copywriting and copywriters is that they were sold this idea of copywriting as a biz op, and they were sold this lifestyle, and many of them, well, actually not many of them, because it depends on where you're from. Like, copywriters from the global south will be more open to getting a job, because that's how they think they're not really that entrepreneurial. But yeah, so I think going in-house is probably the best bet, is what I would recommend for a brand new copywriter now, rather than freelancing. Because what happens when there's two skills of copyright of running a freelance copywriting business, right? There's the skill of copywriting and there's a business of copywriting. And there are two skills that you have to learn in parallel when you're a freelancer. And that's really hard to do when you're starting out. You're just trying to figure out how to, write emails and write landing pages. And that's hard enough as it is. Now you got to figure out how to be a fucking salesperson and a lead gen person and a cold email expert and a personal branding expert and all that kind of shit. It's like, it's a huge waste of time that takes away from you being able to do real work and get real reps and get results for clients. So my recommendation would be to go in-house, build some experience for about like a year, 2 years even. And then if you want to freelance, then you have at least you have some meat on the bone that you can offer people.
Yeah, I like that advice. I've told a lot of my copywriters I've worked with that they should get 2 or 3 big names, that they do some work for, whether that's through an agency or whether that's more internal inside their teams. Get those names, because once you go freelance, it's not as easy to get those kinds of results, because you're not in the trenches all day, every day. So you get those clients, you get those wins up front, and then you go freelance, and then you have all these names that you can use on your CV if you're applying to gigs, or in a cold outreach message, you say, hey, I worked with this person, this person, this person. That instantly differentiates you from other copywriters. So yeah, I agree. I think working in-house and working in an agency, that's what I did. I worked in-house for an 8-figure biz op coach for like over a year. And yeah, you learn through the process of writing a lot of copy, not from studying a lot of courses. I've had a couple of copywriters that have come through some coaching programs I've run, and a lot of them will actually come in and they'll have like a lot of theory style copy, like copy speak. Like you read the copy and it looks like a couple of pieces of different headlines from like a Gary Halbert letter that they learned, and then the bullets is written like the way that Clayton writes the bullets, and it's all like stitched together, and it doesn't flow very nicely. And I think that comes from the same thing. It's like you're not writing enough. You're just looking at theory, and then just copy is not. There's a lot of copy. I mean, there's like direct response copy where you actually, you've got like those sales letters, like the original direct response, and then you got like copy for personal brand. It's like slightly more voice focused copy, So what type of clients do you typically end up working with? Like do you work with info businesses or like Yeah, who do you work with usually?
I started out with high ticket coaches. So my
Okay.
first like real client was Mike Mark of Coaching Sales. Then I work with Joel
Oh, that guy.
Irway. While I'm talking about that, you reminded me of this other copywriter. Her name is Dale. She's from, I don't know, the UK or Ireland or something. She trains horses, or she has horses, but
Hmm.
she worked with Agora UK for like a year or something. And then when she like launched her freelancing business, she was like booked out with a wait list in under a month. So like that is the
Yeah, I
perfect
remember that.
example of what we're describing. Is like she went and she got the like the blue chip client, right? The big name client. And obviously she improved her copy as she was working there. So now she can write legit copy, and she's got one big client, and she just like she debuts herself. Hey, I'm a Agora financial copywriter. I just went out on my own. Does anybody want to hire me? Fuck yeah, I want to hire you. So that's what
Yeah.
makes it much easier, rather than do it like me, where I was like, uh, you know, posting Facebook posts and posting value for 3 years like a retard, and then it takes you like three years to get like a real client. Yeah. So the people I've been working with, I started out high ticket, like I said, Mike Mark, Joel Irway, Kyle Solarud of AdLeg, their YouTube ads agency. Along the way, I picked up Dan Henry as a client. I did a
Oh, that's cool.
couple of small projects for him, and then I sort of got tired of the high ticket space, because how much bizarre shit can you write? It's like really fucking monotonous. So then I started trying to get SaaS clients, and luckily, like, this SaaS client fell into my lap. His name is Danny Postma. He's the founder of Headshot Pro, which is an AI photo shoot app. And I did an abandoned cart campaign
Mm.
for him that went viral. And then like people were signing up for the product just to get the abandoned cart emails. And I ended up on Harry Dry's marketing examples, and then I got like a shitload of inbound leads from that. And I think I've worked with now like 12 SaaS companies. A bunch of them are AI SaaSes as well. So like I'm trying to write for SaaS now. Is what I like, the clients that I like to write about. Just because it's like way more interesting, way more fun as well. Because I'm sick of writing high ticket stuff.
I like that. For a while, I wanted to get into the SaaS space as well. Like I was writing for Demotel, and then after I wrote for Demotel, I was thinking, it makes sense to work with software companies because they also got more insulation. They're a little bit less volatile as
Yeah.
the high ticket guys. It's like you got an actual product. Yeah, like you got an actual product that's got, let's say, 10,000 users. There's something there. It's a significant product. It's product led, which makes it a lot easier to do marketing because the product sells itself a lot of the time. Um, so yeah, I actually found it a little tricky. Honestly, I found it a little tricky to break into that community, even though I was able to use like the fact that I work with Dan Martell as a something that I've done. No, I was unable to really get in with those businesses and get their attention. So I'm actually curious, like, how do you get attention from software companies? Like, are they typically hanging out on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Or is it like inside network that you get referrals?
Yeah, so my my getting SaaS clients was a total accident. Um, Danny Postma, you can sort of find a way in, because a lot of these guys are, especially the indie hacker types, are build in public types, so they'll post a lot about what they're doing. So this guy Danny, he has a decent sized audience
Hmm.
on Twitter, and he posted that he was looking for somebody to write an abandoned cart camping for him.
Hmm.
And then somebody I know tagged me in that under that post, and I DM'd him, "Hey Danny, I'll write your abandoned cart sequence for $500, 48-hour turnaround. We don't need to get on a call. I could just use the stuff on your website." He hired me on the spot. Like from DM
Yeah,
to getting paid, the money in my account was like 60 minutes, and then I delivered the
that's cool.
work.
Nice.
And I use that DM, that sales conversation, as a case study, even though it was sort of like a serendipitous thing. And so then after I delivered the work, he posted about the work. He shared one of the emails. Like he was like, "Yo, I'm really impressed with this abandoned cart campaign I got. Really interesting stuff." So then that campaign went viral, and then I got a bunch of inbound leads that way. So now I have a bunch of SaaS clients that I can hit up for referrals. So that makes the process a little bit easier. And I've got these really cool logos that I can show people. I've worked with Headshot Pro, I've worked with Bento, the email marketing platform. I've worked with Palette FM, which is that vintage photo recolorizer. The founder of that is the guy who invented the algorithm that recolorizes old photos and old videos. So I had that logo. So all of those logos, they kind of help you make the conversation a little bit easier.
That's
but
cool.
the difficult part is these SaaS guys, they don't come from our world of internet marketing. So sometimes they don't understand the value of good copy. And so they don't know how to, they don't know how to price it. They don't know how to gauge the pricing. So when I come in and tell the guy, it's going to be $2,000 for this abandoned cart, they're like, hey, why can't I just use AI to do it? Yeah, sure, you can use AI to do it. But the thing is, when I prompt and get the AI and when you prompt and get the AI, it's going to be really, really fucking different because I know what not to say.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of software guys will struggle to see the value of copy. I mean, even the guys that have a sales team, there's a lot of sales-led SaaS companies too. They don't really have a massive marketing department. They'll have a whole team of prospectors, especially B2B software services. They don't necessarily even run marketing. They'll have their sales team reach people on LinkedIn at big companies and then create a sales cycle, kind of like how copywriters get clients,
Yep.
So it is interesting. That is one of the things I definitely noticed about the software space. So do you frame it as email copy, or do you come in there and you talk about it, let's say, as like with their lingo, like activation? This is an activation campaign that'll help users stick after a free trial, or this is a sales promotional camp. You don't really use the same words because with BizOp it's very easy. I just say I'll write you a welcome sequence. Everybody kind of has an idea of what the welcome sequence is, but the software guys I've spoken to, not all of them are even aware that a welcome sequence is a thing. They'll just say, oh, activation, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so you're right there. You just have to understand the jargon. So they'll have onboarding. Yeah, they'll have an onboarding campaign. They'll have a retention campaign. They'll have a sunset campaign. They'll have a lapsed user campaign. Those kinds of things. So you just have to understand. Yeah, you just have to understand the lingo that they use, and then you just use that. But for the most part, I just say it's copywriting. I don't try to dress it up, because I don't want to work with people where I have to use all this bullshit jargon to convince them to work with me. I prefer to work with people who are sophisticated enough to know what they want and to understand, okay, I need a copywriter for this, and let me find the best copywriter I can.
Well, I think with the email campaign or the email software company, Bento, they'll probably understand the value of copy, since they're literally giving businesses, the service of sending emails, right? So that makes it easy. But so it's mostly referral then, actually. Once you got those inbound leads, then you're able to use that as that's the community, and there's a certain group of them that all understand internet marketing to the point where they actually can value the copy enough to pay you properly. Because there are a couple of software companies that don't want to pay for copy. Even if you have a conversation with them, it's not necessarily worth even having that sales conversation, because they're just not going to see the value of it,
They all sort of need marketing in some way. So you have to just use, reframe it. Most of the time, you're not going to be, with these companies, you're not going to be talking to the founder unless it's an indie hacker SaaS where, it's a one-person shop where the founder is the guy who built the thing and he's running all of the things, all of the operations and marketing and admin and stuff like that. Or he might have a really small team that helps him of contractors. So with the other SaaS companies where they have teams, you're going to be talking to the marketing person, and then the marketing person, they kind of get copywriting and messaging and positioning and all those things that we talk about. So that makes it a little bit easier. And it doesn't necessarily have to be referrals. Sometimes cold outreach can work a lot better with these SaaS companies than with pitching high ticket coaches who probably get pitched a lot, because for some reason every copywriter on the planet, their niche is courses, coaches, and course creators, coaches, and consultants. as if there's no other fucking business on the planet. So when you start pitching these SaaS companies, one, you can find the ones on Crunchbase that are already funded, so they have money to pay you. Two, they're not as sophisticated as the high ticket, internet marketer, biz uppy type of people. So like you don't have to be as fancy. They need like basic stuff and just a simple thing of like, why don't you send 3 emails a week instead of one email a quarter? Like they're like those kinds of simple things where like they don't even know how much money they're leaving on the table. Where like you can come in, like if you have experience in the high ticket space and you switch to e-com, like direct to consumer, or you switch to SaaS, you're like a top 1% copywriter there. Whereas if I'm like in the high ticket space, or I'm writing in the biz off space, like I'm just barely average as a copywriter. Compared to people like, Dan Ferrari, Stefan Georgi, Paris Lampropoulos, and all those kinds of people. But when you go to SaaS, like you're a rock star.
No, that was the appeal for me. That's why I wanted to do it, because I thought, I don't want to compete with like 1,000 bazillion copywriters that all want to write for the same guru. I'd rather go write in an industry where first of all, there's a lot of money, but also you can actually create some serious results because they're not all familiar with direct response and the way that we do things for coaches. In fact, one of my first clients, I guess they're like a software business. They're not exactly a software business. They're more of a education business with a software that supports their education, but it's not in the big coaching and courses industry. It's actually in language learning. So they have like a language app, and a social media account and stuff. And I actually approached them, and nobody had ever approached them about copy, basically, and this was back in 2018 or something, 2017. I approached them and I got the gig, and my cold email was probably pretty bad because I'd never done any cold email course. My emails were okay though. They still use the same emails today. They still have that main sequence. They've made some tweaks to it, but it's cool. It's like we're here in 2025, and 7 years later they're still using that same sequence. It's obviously making them money. It's obviously helping them, and they have a lot of their social media. They still drive to this opt-in page where they can get this email sequence. So I think it's very, very rewarding actually working with these businesses because, well, first of all, like, the internet marketing space, you can argue sometimes there's not as much value with some of these products. Like, especially if you're writing for the gurus, there's a lot of copywriters that will find that that's not very fulfilling, or they feel like they're just selling some fluff that's got a 1% success rate. Maybe that's necessary for you because you need to make the money, but also doesn't like speak to your soul. Whereas you got a lot of these cool products that actually do real valuable stuff, like that language business. They really did make a big impact on my life, Nabeel. Like I was learning languages. That app really helped me to learn French and speak French and travel and use French. And that was like life changing. It's like very enriching experience. So being able to write for these businesses that are not part of the internet marketing bubble is actually very, very fulfilling. And like you said, right, they don't necessarily have all this stuff or see this stuff and or know exactly what's going on. So when you go in there, you actually make real changes. They had no emails before I went in. They literally just repurposed their blog articles and they just post it. So now I write like 10 emails and they're like, what is this magic? We're just getting customers and we're getting sales. So I still think that's really cool. I think that's really a good opportunity. So what I've told some of my private clients is, if you got 0 results or you got very, very few results, go on Upwork or something, get some momentum, get a couple of gigs, build up a little bit of a resume or something that you can use. And then you go and approach these businesses in these other industries. And then you have something that you can say is, your background or your skills. Like, I've worked with over 20 businesses in all these industries, and I really like you guys, and here's why I'd like to write something for you. And then you go close those clients, and then you can have like a blue ocean,
Yeah, the situation you described, those are my favorite kinds of clients, because anything you do is going to get like 10x or 100x ROI for them. Compared to the amount of money that they paid you, compared to like let's say you go into VShred as a copywriter. Like, imagine the level of skill and the like your skills, and you need to be like on point with everything that you write. Or if you go into Agora, like what level of skill you need to be at to actually make a dent and get something that people will get some result that people will talk about. I love going for those business where like you can write any kind of copy and they'll get like a 10x or 100x return.
Wow, that's cool. 100 extra. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this. But I think that the challenge that some people are gonna, maybe they'll put this as a comment if we don't address it, is like, how do I find these clients?
There's no shortcut. There's no substitute for hard work. Like you're just gonna have to do the grind. Most of these, like let's say you want to go to SaaS, like most of them hang out on Twitter. So you're gonna have to be big on Twitter, and engage with that community. You can do a lot of cold DM work on Twitter. I get a ton of cold DMs, and mostly bad. So if you have any kind of cold DM game, you could do pretty well. You could clean up there. You can cold email people by getting their emails. Find companies that have been funded on Crunchbase. It's really not that hard. Find the companies who've been funded on Crunchbase. Look up the people who work there on LinkedIn. Send a connection request and DM. Like, at some point, like, there is like a little bit of resourcefulness that is required on the part of the copywriter. Like, we cannot, like, no coach can, like, what is the point of a coach telling you, okay, look up the companies on Crunchbase that have been funded in the past month, then look them up on Google, then contact the head of marketing, send them a connection request, build a relationship with them. Like, do you want us to hold your while you take a piss and then wipe when you're done after? Like, it's retarded.
Yeah. Well, I think that's become the expectation for some BizOp copywriters, at least. You know, I saw that in the I saw that in the fulfillment by Amazon space, because I used to write a lot of BizOp copy for them, and because there's so many different offers, you know, as the market sophisticates, it's like, well, you got to keep creating a more aggressive result or promise, right? You got to create a more a stronger, and by the end of it, you get to, like, I don't know, let's call it level 5, right? Level 5 sophistication or something like that, right? You got all these guys are like, they're all aware of Amazon. Then the promise becomes, I will literally hold your hand and wrap around you, and we will do this together. You know, we will do this together. We'll go all the way from finding your very first product all the way to launching, you know, every step of the way, A to Z. And I think the messaging works, you know, because people do like having somebody to give them the direction. But I do think that the expectations become a little bit, I don't think it's very healthy for people, because, you know, all the people I've seen that succeed with copy, they didn't really need a coach. Like, you know, you and I, we could talk about those, and I'm sure you've seen this with people you coach, because I know you've also coached a lot of copywriters. All my clients didn't really need coaching. They got faster results because they compressed the time, because they had somebody maybe save them from a few mistakes, or give them a better way to reply or follow up, or when to follow up. You know, there's a few things here and there. So maybe they got there 2-3 years faster than if they were figuring it out themselves. But they were going to figure it out. They were going to make it happen anyway, you know? And so there's the perspective, is like a lot of copywriters that are coming to either watch these videos or maybe follow you, and they're thinking like, oh, maybe if I join so-and-so's program, that will save me, you know, that will change everything. I don't think so. I think that that's not the frame that the successful copywriters come to me with. I've never had a copywriter that succeeds that came to me and is like, this is my last dollar. I need you to help me, save me from my struggling situation. It's usually like, hey, doing well. I'd love to get your perspective on some things and get to the next level, you know?
Yeah. And that's a really good point I want to make about that. But before, with the Amazon FBA thing, they'll say like, oh, it's Amazon automation, right? But then the automation is like a $2 an hour Filipino, or like a $3 an hour Indian. Right?
Yo,
the automation,
right, yeah.
They literally they call human beings automation. That's how much they dehumanize the offshore help.
That's crazy.
But yeah, okay. So with what were we talking about? We were talking about the
just about like the copywriters that are going to be successful anyway. Some of them, yeah.
Exactly. So that is why the vast majority of the copywriting coaches out there, they'll start off selling a course, but then immediately they go high ticket. Like take Cardinal Mason, for example, and his Copy MBA program. That program is now 5K, and he has like a full sales team that gets on the phone and closes people for him. And why is it 5K? Because he doesn't want to deal with the people who are looking for a coach to save them. Because he wants results for his program, right? So he's gonna sell to people who already have, like, they're already successful in something that they're doing, right? Maybe they have a corporate career, and maybe they're making like 50, 60, 100K a year or something like that, but they're working full time now. He's just going to show them a different method to be successful with copywriting, working 2 to 3 hours a day and making 300 to 500K a year. And also, there's much less chance of dealing with unserious people who are not going to do the work when they've just paid $5,000, right? So that's the reason why. I'm pretty sure that's also the reason why Stefan Georgi stopped coaching copywriters in Copy Accelerator, because like he was probably like tired of dealing with these people who just don't put in the effort and don't do the work. And what, like, the success rate of coaching business was like 15%, right? And that's a terrible success rate if you think about a product that is supposed to get a result for people, right? So that's why I think Stefan Georgi now with his CA Pro, he would rather get a much better return on his time invested by partnering with businesses and helping already successful businesses, because then maybe he could get equity in the company, or maybe he can charge $50,000 to do a little bit of consulting for them. So and then there's also another example, Daniel Fazio, Cold Email Wizard. He has this rant on YouTube where he talks about, I hate talking about beginner stuff, beginner level content, because like you get the worst kind of people. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How do I be motivated to send cold emails? Can you make a video talking about motivation to send cold emails? Like, and his joke is like, why do you need motivation to not be poor? Like, if you need motivation to not be poor, like you're not gonna make it, right? So
NGMI, bro, NGMI.
Exactly. So that is the problem. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The people who are successful in a coaching program, they would have been successful anyway. All the coach did was compress the time. That's a very long-winded way of saying that you're absolutely right, and you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, I think it's something I've seen in BizOp too. You'll look at the, how do we put this? Well, like every market, right? Every market's going to have like a filtering system. So like you got a YouTube channel, like 5 million people wanting to make money online. Of those 5 million, maybe 50,000 will end up opting in at some point, or maybe 100,000 or something. And of that 100,000, then maybe per year, 2,000 get on a sales call. And then of the 2,000, maybe 200 become customers at 5K. You got, I don't know what that is. It's like $1 million a year business or something, right? So that filtering system, a lot of people just look at that and say, oh, I think that's that's just the numbers. That's just the conversion rates. But I like to think of it also as like, well, there's also a filtering system that like, this is like real data. It's not just a funnel data. So for example, like if you look at how many people are successful, like there's only 1 to 2% of people are millionaires or something. It's like 1 to 5% or something. So only 1 and 5% of people become millionaires. If you take that same data set and you put it into BizOp, you get the exact same success rates. So it's like, is it the products? Is it the features of the products? Or is that just the data of reality? Like reality is only 1 and 5% of people actually end up becoming millionaires. And then they think it's the success rate of their program. It's like, well, no, you actually you're just creating an environment where you can watch that data set live, because it's only 1 to 5% of people actually going to become millionaires anyway. They just happen to also join your program. But if you're a coach that coaches millionaires, then you don't have that, because you've already gone down to that filtered part of the process where you're only talking to that 5% of people. So then your success rate might be like 80%, 90%. Like Taki Moore has a really, really, really high success rate. But it's like also, well, he's also just targeting people that are already in that pool of that small group of people that are already going to be successful. So when I realized that, I kind of had a bit of a moment of existential crisis, because I was coaching people and I'm like, well, what am I doing if this data it's just gonna happen anyway? Like whether I'm here or not, that's the data set. Like that's there's going to be X amount of people that will be successful, whether I give them a program or not. What am I doing as a coach? And yeah, it goes back to that compression. But I also think that one thing I like about being a coach is I get to have a say about some of the values that I pass on to clients. So some copywriters will work with me, then they'll have the way that they treat their clients, they're more, I don't know, I wouldn't say like loyal, but let's say that they like treat their clients better than they did before they worked with me. Even if they were going to be successful anyway, it's like you add that positive effect to the industry. That's something I quite enjoy. But yeah, what's been your experience coaching? Because I'd love to know a bit more about, you've got a paid community, right? You've been working with copywriters for a few years now, right? Or several years now. You've been coaching copywriters as well. Like, what's your experience with the industry?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because I believe I've experienced the same thing in my community, where even in the low ticket side of things, where we only charge like $20 a month, the same phenomenon will play out. We've got like 900 people who've signed up for our free program to try out the community, and 10% of that converted to paid. And of the people who are in the paid community, just a handful of those are actually, I can see them doing things. Like I can see them putting in the work. I can see them closing clients and posting wins and sharing stuff. So it really is, there's not that much you can do, but like, how can I force you to come to the community and ask questions so you can get better? Like, how can I force you to submit your copy for critique ahead of time before you send it to the client, so that you can actually improve it and make it better before you send it? Like, there has to be some level of participation involved from the members, and then it's really difficult. There are strategies that you can use to create habits in the members to keep them coming back and keep them engaged and keep them using the tools, but after a certain point, it's like, bro, those tools are there. If you want to use it, you'll get some benefit out of it and you'll win. If you don't want to use it, then you're just wasting your money. But like, as long as you don't cancel your membership, I'm happy to take your money.
Yeah. Well, that's the case. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't really think of an example of where I've actually been able to change that. I feel like most of the people I've worked with, they either get it or they don't want to get it, or they don't get it. And it doesn't really matter what I say on the calls to them. They'll do what they're going to do, So yeah. No, that makes sense.
The way you have to do it is actually, you have to gamify the community experience. It's really quite silly that you have to do that. And so with the community platforms, you have all of these tools to gamify community engagement and retention and things like that, and lower churn. But it's really silly. You would think that marketers whose profession is marketing and who's supposed to understand human psychology and cognitive biases and things like that, you would think that you would not need to manipulate them using gamification tools to get them to come to a community that they're paying for to use the tools and get better. It's really funny that we call ourselves copywriters, and then we need to be sold based off of persuasion tactics rather than okay, understanding this is something I need to do this, so let me go ahead and buy it. But we have to wait. Like, I hate doing launches where I have to do urgency. Guys, you like, I'm selling to copywriters, right? So now I have to do urgency. I need to do like takeaway bonuses. I need to do price going up, and I need to do deadlines. I need to have a countdown timer. Why do I have to? You're a copywriter. Why do I have to have a countdown timer? You're not like some schlub off the street in like a B2C customer who's like buying like a supplement off of a full traffic funnel. Like, you're supposed to be more sophisticated than that. It should be much easier to sell you, and I shouldn't have to manipulate you to get the sale. And it's really quite silly to me.
Yeah, it's. I had the best promotion when I did a takeaway and did a timer as well with copywriters, and I thought that was funny. For months nobody's interested, and then suddenly there's like last chance. Like 2 days left, and like obviously when I do it with I actually do honor that. It's like I do close things down and stop stuff. But everybody suddenly joined. It's like as if, oh no, I'm gonna miss out. It's like, bro, I've been talking about this for like 5 months, So my perspective now is I'm not going to play games like that. I mean, I'll probably do some fun promotion. I mean, I think copywriters can still enjoy the game and enjoy it being sold to with the deadline timers and all that stuff. But I just don't have time to try and change people's perspective, because I've just seen with the data that I've worked with over the last 5 years with, all the copywriters I've worked with, it doesn't make a difference. I could get somebody that's brand new and say, oh, I'll coach you from brand new all the way to, I don't know, 25K a month, but they've got to have something within them that's creating that result. It's not me. So now I just talk to them. That's my philosophy, my approach for this year is like, I'm going to focus on my own stuff. I'm going to focus on getting better at copy, maybe work with some bigger clients. And then as a coach, I'm just going to talk to the people that already match that. And that saved me a lot of time. I'm going to help the people that actually get it and want to get it. And if somebody's like watching this video and they're like want to become like that, then then they have the power within themselves to do that. But that's not something I think a coach can do for you. I think you have to, like, perfect examples like the employee mindset versus a copywriter's mindset. Like a lot of employee mindset copywriters will go into a business and kind of sit there passively waiting for instructions. And then they wonder why they're in 5 team meetings a week and asked to give all kinds of KPIs and reports and be online and be available whenever. And they're like, I don't understand why this is happening. It's like, because bro, you're literally waiting for instructions. So you're going to be put into their process versus a copywriter who's like a business owner, right? They'll come in and they'll say, hey, I'm going to give you a report every single Monday with all the data. Maybe happy to join your team meeting, but all those other meetings, if you need me for anything, just feel free to send me a message. I'm going to give you a report on Monday. Most of the time, they don't even get in those meetings then, because what does the client need them for? I mean, they're giving a report every week. They're updating. They're actively solving problems. They're available, but they're introducing the client to their own processes. That saves them a lot of time. So a lot of copywriters will come to me and say, oh, I've got this nasty client that like puts me in meetings all day. It's like, bro, you're sitting as an employee waiting for instructions. Of course they're going to put you in meetings. You need to be a partner, a copywriting a partner, not just some guy that does order taking. So that stuff, I mean, you can sort of tell people that that's what they should do, but at the end of the day, they got to want to be a business owner and not want to be an employee. I never wanted to be an employee. So I didn't have to sit there and learn that. It was just sort of one of those things. It was like, why am I in so many meetings? I don't want to be. I'm a business owner. I solved it then because I had that perspective, right?
Since I launched CopySkills, and even before I launched CopySkills, I would get like DMs from copywriters who are just starting out, and they always DM you like the stupidest thing ever. It's like, how do I get started, bro? Fucking like Google it. So like, based off of that experience, I would say that the vast majority of copywriters, even the freelance ones who are supposed to be entrepreneurial, they all have employee mindset. Like they're waiting for somebody to give them permission when like they should be the one choosing for themselves. Like James Altucher wrote that book, like Choose Yourself. Like nobody's gonna give you permission. And the problem is like, a lot of these freelance copywriters, especially the ones in the global south, they come from cultures where entrepreneurship is not really a thing, right? So they all have employee mindset. And I guess it's not just global south copywriters. I think there's just people in general. Most people have an employee mindset. So they come in, they hear about this thing called freelance copywriting, and they are, they sit around in Facebook groups waiting for somebody to come and say, choose them. But when really they should be going out and finding opportunities for themselves. And it's the same thing when they do get the clients and they do the client work exactly as you described. They're going to be, the worst example of this is like working, they're in like Pakistan or the Philippines, and they're working US hours. Like what? You cannot pay me enough money to work US hours, like, and they kill my circadian rhythm. And the worst thing is like they're getting paid like $3 an hour, $5 an hour, and they're going to be up at like EST hours or Central hours or even Pacific hours. It's the stupidest thing ever. That's the worst example of that. So yeah, you have to be the adult in the room. You have to be a professional. You have to be the expert. You have to be a consultant. You have to be the guy who's asking questions when they tell you to do stuff. Why do you want me to do this? What I think I probably annoy my clients a lot, where like they'll come to me with some kind of request, or they'll be freaking out about something, and I have to tell them, "No, listen, that's okay. It happens. This is normal, and it's supposed to be this way. In fact, it's evidence that our strategy is working." I have to tell one of my clients why he doesn't get 100% open rates on his coaching customer emails. I have to tell him it doesn't work like that, right?
Why not? Why doesn't everyone open it?
Like my client is like, but they're clients of ours. They've paid us money. Why aren't they opening our emails?
It's funny.
So you have to explain to them why he can't get 100% open rate on the emails. But yeah, it's little things like that. Where like you don't panic when the customer is like, "Oh, this thing is going wrong. This thing is going wrong. We need this right now, ASAP." Like you need to be calm, evaluate the situation like a professional, and understand what it is that they're asking, and is it the right thing that they're asking? Is that the thing that they actually need? And you need to find out what it is that they need, and you need to give that to them. And that's how you're able to, I guess, win the respect of clients, number one, and it also allows you to get much better results in the long term.
I think this is really good news for the copywriters watching this who are actually serious about, succeeding. Because for some of the copywriters that are, or for some of the aspiring copywriters that have a lot of these challenges and the mindset of employee and not wanting to take the initiative and do all this stuff, that might be discouraging. But if you're actually a copywriter who seriously wants to get results, look at the kind of competition that you're having to deal with here. Like, look at our conversation. There's a reason that we're talking about this, and we're both familiar with it, and yet we both come from different perspectives and different parts of the same industry. It's like, it's so prevalent that copywriters do this, that it's just a joke at this point, how few copywriters are actually taking this seriously. And if you just take yourself seriously and you take your clients seriously, and like you said, Nabeel, you're a professional, you act like a professional, and you have confidence, and you come in there as the authority, I don't know, it's game over. I just don't think it's such a difficult industry. Honestly, just don't think it's that difficult if you just take it seriously, Even the skill of copywriting, for me, I always allocated 10% of my income to coaching or to getting better. So that was my play. It's like, I'll make money, 10% or 10 to 20%. And when I was a bit earlier in the game, I put 20% aside because I actually didn't have many expenses. So I'd put like 20% aside, and I would just reinvest that into my skill to just keep growing the skill set. And then once my skill was strong enough, I think that's where coaching does help a lot is skill transfer. I think, I know I've had the mindset stuff, it's like, well, look, is that a question for me? Or was that maybe a question for a therapist? Like I've had to say that to a few people sometimes because they like have the perspective is like, that's not a copywriting issue. That's just something that you have to work through with your own life. But the skill transfer is a big thing. That's underrated. And recently I had a copywriter say to me, hey, I just want to see like if there's anything new I'm going to learn, because I've been through a lot of programs and a lot of courses. If there's anything new, I'm going to learn. I say, well, you're struggling right now. You're not doing well. So why do you need new stuff if you're not doing the stuff that we already talked about, or the stuff that you need to do? Like, why do you need new stuff if you're struggling? If all the stuff that you already knew, like all the stuff that works, you already know that stuff, and yet you're still struggling. So then maybe you're just not doing it. No, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I say to the guy. So
it's funny you mentioned that, because I had almost this exact conversation with one of our scholarship students. So for CopySkills, I have this thing called the Ben Sylvania 100 scholarship. They have to hand copy the Ben Sylvania retirement sales letter 10 times. It's like 30,000 words, 30,000 word sales letter. They need to copy it 10 times. and then they need to mail me the physical copies. And then if they do that, I give them lifetime access to CopySkills. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
what you were talking, like one of the scholarship members, he messages me during a promotion and he says, hey man, I noticed that you're selling a lot of courses and workshops. Do you think it's right that you're holding back your best information, best information behind paywalls and charging a lot of money? Meanwhile, this is the first DM that this guy has sent me in months. It's the first time I've seen him in the community in months. In that time, he hasn't posted a win. He hasn't asked a question about getting clients. He hasn't posted any copy for feedback. This is the first time that he's showing up in the community, and he's showing up to complain. Then I asked him, like, okay, when was the last time you used the resources that are available to you? So then he comes back with another complaint. Oh, you released too much information in the free program, and it's like weird. There's no difference between us and the people who are in the free program. Like, motherfucker, you're not using the stuff that you already access for. You already got access to for free. People paid $500 to get this stuff, the access that you have right now, lifetime membership, right? And so, like, so what if I'm selling the workshops and courses paid? You're not going to use it anyway. Even if I gave it to you for free, you're not going to use it. So, like, what is the complaint here? And so then, when I responded, he didn't respond back because obviously he had no leg to stand on. But exactly the situation you're describing, it's a different conversation, but it's a similar kind of mentality where really the thing about copywriting is like you understanding the fundamentals and applying the fundamentals relentlessly, right? It's not about learning new stuff. It's like the fundamentals applied over different media. Maybe the media changes, right? Maybe the media changes, but the fundamentals remain the same. Like Alan Sultanish has this quote where, like, every innovation in marketing is just a new way to hide the sales pitch from people, right? So when you have, like, now AI is coming, right? So we've got AI UGC, right? So that's just another new way. It's an innovation, right? An innovation in marketing, but it's just a new way to hide the sales pitch. Every new type of ad, every new type of a funnel, every new type of copy, if there is a new type of copy, is just a new way to hide the sales pitch from people.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. Yeah. I've enjoyed that quote. There's a lot of creative ways that people are trying to hide the sales process these days. Especially like recently, podcast VSL is a really cool one. And I've seen a couple of ads where it's done well. I'm not sure if it was originally a podcast or if it's just made to look like a podcast. But it's like, so you're saying that guys who you know where it's going, right? So you're saying that guys, even the short guys, even without a lot of money, if they understand what you're saying here, they can attract very, very beautiful women into their life, right? You really,
they'll put the red
wow.
curtain behind. The red curtain behind it to fake like it's Joe Rogan podcast, right?
yeah. It's funny though. I like that. But to go back to what we're talking about with copywriters, I think that these are the real hurdles, and it's all this stuff up here that I think gets people stuck. And I think it's not just copywriters. I've also seen it with business owners, even successful business owners. They have the same sort of stuff in their head that might get them, into, just get them stuck, right? They just get stuck. But I think that you have to work through this stuff, and the best way I've seen copywriters work through it is being around other, like, in communities that have a different perspective, like a healthier perspective, a more freelance or professional perspective, So like I've got my communities, the dojo, we've got a pretty good culture around like how you should treat clients and how you should act as a copywriter. So when people start working with me and they hang out with other copywriters in there, I think through osmosis, they kind of embrace some of the stuff, some of the beliefs necessary. But you've also got your community. Could you tell us a little bit about how you help copywriters in there?
Yeah, I will. And I'm happy to do that. It's funny that you mentioned business owners. I don't know if you've experienced this, but business owners will like make the most irrational and emotional decisions sometimes, and they'll like blow up their business around them. And then when the business falls to shit, they'll end up firing you because like the ROI is not there anymore. That's happened to me more than once, and I'm just like when I think about it, it's really funny because uh they they literally blow up the business themselves, and then they end up firing the people because of their irrational behavior. I don't think anybody talks about that enough, about how irrational and emotional business owners can be sometimes when they have like a successful business and then something happens and they blow it to pieces around them. But yeah, about you can comment about that in a second, but about the community. CopySkills, right? So CopySkills is a low-ticket membership for global South copywriters. I did that on purpose because otherwise I would be competing with Matthew Folkwin and Stefan Georgi and Dan Ferrari and Alan Sultanich, and I don't want to compete with you guys, right? I want to go to the other end of the market and compete with the low ticket. It's not a profitable decision, but it makes the marketing a lot easier. When you have the positioning right, it makes a lot of decisions for you. So, once I say, okay, this is for global South copywriters, now the price is decided. Now, the format of the coaching is decided. Like CopySkills is mostly, I guess, like 99% asynchronous and remote, right? So we're not doing live calls. And like we have a couple of office hours calls a week, but that's it. Like we're not doing daily live calls. That's one thing I hate about coaching communities, where you'll have to show up to the live call to get help, right? But then the live call is at the time that is most convenient for the coach, right? Which that could be 3 a.m. in your time. Like Pauline Longdon would wake up at 3 a.m. to get coached by Paris Lampropoulos. Okay, that's fine. Paris Lampropoulos, okay, I would wake up at 3 a.m. as well. But like,
me too, yeah.
But like for other coaches, right? It's really inconvenient for the community members, because like you're having to show up at odd hours of the night, probably at a time that's inconvenient for you. You're waiting behind a bunch of people, and maybe you're later down on the list to get help, and the coach only has so much creative energy after like an hour of talking. There's only the creativity as limits as well, right? So we do CopySkills asynchronous. So the idea is, and I wish more people would take advantage of it, because it's so simple. Like you post a question, you get a response within a few hours and 24 hours max. And we do the copy critiques that way. I'm about to teach peer review in the community as well, so that the copy feedback won't be reliant on me. We're going to use the peer review system that was developed by Mark Ford to give feedback on the copy, and we're going to do that way. And then we also have, so the low ticket community is there. That's like a monthly membership or a weekly membership or annual. And then we also have courses and workshops, which I started JVing with course creators, so I wouldn't have to create all the damn courses myself. We're just launching one right now. It's an AI course. It's called the Bionic Copywriter. I partnered with Samuel Woods for that. So that launch is starting today. So we've got
cool.
an AI course in the community now. Last month we had a workshop called Whalebait Offers, where it's by David Bell, David Stafford, and Arfa Saira Iqbal, where they taught our members how to make offers that get 6-figure projects, close 5 and 6-figure projects, like anywhere from 10 to 100K. So they have a really unique sales process for that. The month before that, we taught a copy compliance clinic, and that was by my friend Alejandro Martinez. He's on a deep dive into compliance. So I've got more partner workshops planned with other creators. So that's going to be the model moving forward, where I'll sell the JV workshop, right? And then the community support is tacked on as like an upsell or the order bump or something like that, where you get the content, and then if you want the coaching and support, that's extra, and that's a monthly fee. That's going to be the easiest thing.
So you got everything in there, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, you got AI. I mean, that's very, very powerful right now. Save yourself like you'll be 3 to 4 times faster. Compliance is every business that's running ads needs compliance. And then, like you said earlier, the fundamentals, they're the fundamentals. So you cover the fundamentals in there as well, right? And then people must just refine them.
Yes. So when they join CopySkills, like in the free program, I teach the fundamentals. Like
Okay.
they'll get the skills. I have two modules. They're actually full courses that I used to sell. Dirty content marketing and profitable AF emails. Like
Cool.
the people
Nice
who
name.
bought that the people who bought that, they would keep rewatching those courses because like they're so fundamental that like they keep going back to it. So we teach the skills of copywriting. It's not like starting from zero. Like they have to have some idea about copywriting, but like for running a client services business as a copywriter, those two courses will get you most of the way there. And then we also teach the business of copywriting. So cold outreach that works for copywriters, how to make offers that don't involve you getting on sales calls, how to run a sales call if you do have to get on a sales call, how to get paid as a freelancer, if you're living in the global south. We have a mindset course as well. I've got the entire Copy Legends. You remember Copy Legends? The entire Copy Legends archive. I got permission from Matt Buckenstead and Justin Goff because Matt sold Copy Legends to Justin Goff. I got their permission to publish all of the ads inside that free course. So there's 1,536 classic ads that you can hand copy.
Oh, wow. That's a
Um,
lot of ads. Damn.
and then, yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff in there. There's like 15
I'm sold
modules.
now. I want to see those ads. Sold.
Yeah, it's 15 modules, and like when you create a CopySkills account, you get that for free. And I think I gave away too much stuff because a lot of people aren't ascending to the paid membership. But then when you join the paid membership, you get the community is the main draw of the paid membership, right? So you give the content away, most of the content away for free, and you sell the community aspect. But also in the community, we have some advanced courses like that's also a JV. Like actually, Ryan Hunter, he's a former Mind Valley copywriter. He gave those courses to me. We have one course on writing long form sales letters. So that's advanced. They get that course, and then all the other courses are paid. Because I don't want to like keep on adding content to the community that people are not going to use. There's really no point. So most of the courses, the List Boss, which is my email marketing course, it's sort of like my magnum opus where I teach them everything about email list management. We have another course called Mastering Bento, which is a course on how to use Bento, which is my preferred email marketing platform. We've got Client Magnet Habits, which is a workshop that my community manager, Judy, she's a 17-year-old copywriter. She launched her first paid product with CopySkills. I made her launch a paid product, her first digital product, and she did that workshop. And we've got the compliance clinic, and we've got whalebait offers, and now we've got the AI. Coming up, we'll probably do something around YouTube. I'm talking to Sam Ocean for that. And I also want to do a workshop on I had the name for it already. It's going to be called Creative Athlete. And it's going to be about health, right? Health and wellness, right? And that kind of thing for creative workers, right? So how do you optimize your health to maximize your creative output? So that's the idea behind the workshop. I got to find a person, an expert to JV with for that.
Yeah, there's a couple of copywriters I know that are pretty jacked. maybe I can create an introduction or something. There's a few of them that have a lot of they're very consistent with their routine. That's very cool. I didn't realize that you're so prolific with your course creation. I mean, you got that's a lot of valuable stuff, and at the price that you offer that for, and the fact that a lot of that's as well for free. That's you're adding a lot of value to the industry by doing that. I think that's very cool, actually, because I think you could easily charge a lot more for this. That's a lot of content that a lot of people would charge a crap ton for. So
I'm gonna try to run ads to that free program as a pay what you want offer. So it'll be like 0 for whoever can't afford anything, but you can also, like, depending on how much value you see in the program, you can pay whatever you want. I'm going to see if that helps us to get more leads at a subsidized rate, because I want to see like what is the value that people place on it, because it is really comprehensive. And I didn't come up with that idea myself. I was just copying Justin Goff's relaunch of AdSkills. So like whatever he was doing when he relaunched AdSkills, like I think we relaunched the new version, the new community of CopySkills. We were on Circle before. Now we're on Mighty Networks. And I was basically copying Justin Goff the entire time. Like I was behind him by like 2 weeks. And I copied, like I even moved from Circle to Mighty Networks because Justin Goff said so. So like everything he's been doing with AdSkills since he redesigned the way that it's delivered, right? I've been copying that in the community, and just makes my life a lot easier. Whatever Justin Goff does, I do.
Yeah, it's like those successful traders. He bought, now you buy, and he sells, you sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, very, very cool. So if people want to get in touch with you and they want to learn more about how you help copywriters and learn more about how you work with your clients, or even if somebody's watching this that's a potential client, where can they get in touch with you?
You could probably, the easiest way to just go to my Twitter account, but you'll find me anywhere. If you just Google my name, I'm the number one result. I have my own Google Knowledge Graph. So it's like I'm the only Nabeel Azeez in the world. And from there,
Nice.
You can get access to, my personal website. I have my own personal newsletter where I write daily-ish emails. We have CopySkills, which is...
I love that word. I write daily-ish emails. That's like a really good marketing message. Subscribe for my daily-ish emails.
I should probably update the copy on that before somebody else starts using it.
So yeah. You must trademark it as well. Daily-ish
exactly.
TM,
yeah. So if you go to either my Twitter or any of my social media accounts, or you go to my website nabeelazeez.com, like you'll see it's just an I try to funnel people to the other offers. So like on my homepage, you'll find a link to Dropkick Copy, which is our email marketing agency. You'll find a link to CopySkills. You'll find a link to my newsletter, my self-improvement and masculinity newsletter, Muslim Man, which is the other kind of thing that I do not very well. I really mostly slack off on it, but I did and managed to publish 2 books. But you can get access to my website from there as well.
Cool. Well, Nabeel, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I enjoyed this chat a lot. This was very fun, and I hope that copywriters got a lot of value from this, and they saw what it takes, how to not be how to not be an idiot and blow yourself up and actually build a real career. So yeah, thanks so much for your time, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, but yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, man. It was an honor and a pleasure to be invited on. I'm gonna put that in my bona fides. I'm gonna say as seen in Copy Dojo. I'm going to put your logo on my website, so I'll get more credibility and be able to charge. I'll be able to charge more for my clients.
Honestly, man, this is the thing, right? I think just one last thing before we close off. I think a lot of copywriters make the process of success so much more complicated than it really is. It's really just about consistency. Because a year ago, I was looking to get featured on podcasts because I thought, I have a couple things I want to say. And I just couldn't really find many podcasts. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just start interviewing people. And at first, it was just a few people, a few private clients I was interviewing. And now we've got a bit of momentum, and we've interviewed some really cool names like yourself. And now people have said something like, oh, I know, I was on the Matt Matthews podcast. It's like, bro, I didn't have a podcast until recently. I was just consistently posting every week, and the copywriter's like, what's your secret? Like, what's your marketing message? What's your strategy? I'm like, bro, I'm just consistent. That's it. If you're just consistent, even with your strategy that didn't work so well for the first 2-3 years, look, now you have an email list. So even though it wasn't the best strategy, you'd go back and do a few things differently. The fact you made up for it. And that's my, goodbye message for you watching this is like, if you're consistent, even with an average strategy, you're still going to get better results than if you're inconsistent with a good strategy, because you're not doing it even if it's good if you're inconsistent. So be consistent, go learn from Nabeel in CopySkills, and yeah, see you all soon. Thanks again, man. Nice chatting.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.